let's get started. So, colleagues, yesterday you remember we had the Minister of Trade joining us, the Honorable Francis Mwebesa, and we put to him a couple of issues, including the gross misconduct, bribery allegations, misappropriation of funds at UNBS, and all the issues therein, which he told us he has known about, he has tried to take some action before, and he promised us yesterday that he will take immediate action immediately, again. So this morning, I am in receipt of a letter written by the minister. I just read it. This was written yesterday, after the minister left this place, 20th July 2023, the Executive Director, Uganda National Bureau of Standards. Attention is Mr. David Livingstone Ebiro. Misappropriation of funds and misconduct of the Executive Director of Uganda National Bureau of Standards. Reference is made to the following correspondences. He dates them therein. Following my return to office and having given this matter due consideration, I would like to reiterate my directive as stated in my earlier communication dated 26th June 2023. For clarity, the directive was to the effect that in light of the serious allegations raised against you, you are hereby directed to step aside for a period of 6 months with effect from today, 20th July 2023, that was yesterday, to enable sufficient investigations into your misappropriation of funds, misconduct, and abuse of office. By copy of this letter, the chairperson of the Standards Council, that's the board, should ensure that a suitable caretaker of the office is identified and the matter is sufficiently investigated within the set timelines while following the law. Signed by Francis Mwebesa, the Minister of Trade. He has copied in the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Trade, IGG, Chairperson of the Board, Auditor General, Accountant General, Inspector General of Police, Head State House Anti-Corruption Unit, and all board members. I'm hoping that Mr. Ebiro has gotten a copy of this letter. Now that he's not here, but at least it's good to see that the minister has taken immediate action as he did promise. Our hope is that we begin to see a cleaning up of UNBS. Of course, this doesn't mean that it's just the ED who is culpable. The ED has been running the entity, not alone. There's several other people. Of course, we talked about occasioning of financial loss to the tune of 19.28 billion and so on. Our hope is that action gets taken against everybody that is culpable. You see, the unique thing about UNBS is you're not just a government entity, but you are responsible for standards. You are responsible for making sure that the consumers of commodities, Ugandans out there, are consuming commodities that are of the right standards, commodities that are not counterfeit, that are not fake. Because there's no other way, me, a consumer, when I go to the supermarket or wherever else to buy commodities, I can't know that they are of good quality. It is UNBS supposed to do that on my behalf, on behalf of Ugandans out there. That's why you're paid to do that job. So if there's all of these allegations, corruption, occasioning a financial loss, that means commodities get their way onto the market without being tested to be sure they're qualified and all of these different things. The consumers and their lives thereof are at risk, are at peril. And so we want a proper cleanup of this entity. Not just so that taxpayers' money is not stolen, but for the lives of the people who consume products to be properly taken care of. Of course, our hope, good enough, the minister is saying that the law ought to be followed and so on, because ultimately, it's the minister that appoints ED. So I think the board chair will recommend to the minister, whoever is meant to be acting, and so on and so forth. So that processes get to be cleaned up, but we want a proper cleanup. Like I'm saying, it's not enough that the ED has been sent on forced leave. We want a cleanup of this entire entity. Yes, Honorable Cooper?
Where you ended, I was just trying to read the act here about appointing the ED. So I was just asking myself, isn't it the role of the minister? Is he relegating his duty, though you are putting it now him to that? Because I was trying to look at the act here, because we don't want a repeat of what happened. What the minister shall appoint a director to be the chief executive officer of the bureau. Of course, does not talk about the acting or suitable person. It should have been, because this is the entity he runs, supervises. So, but maybe comforted with what you're saying, that he identify and forward for him for appointment. I hope that is what is going to happen, because I thought it should have just been, even in that letter, I've named who is going to act. Of course, we would have done it with the consultation, of the council. So I'm just leaving it at that. I'll leave it at that. What was the other? Like you have again stated that it is a cleanup. The chairman, if you remember his word, that the place is rotten. So maybe we'll even need to say everybody goes. Because he said that this place is rotten. So it's not all the inspectors or who. So a real total cleanup that needs to be done. That's why you saw me the other day that would have handed everybody to CID, to CID. So I think if going by the chairman's word, the place is rotten. I don't know whether he will be able to now appoint a stable person. He will find a stable person in a rotten place. In a rotten place. But that we leave it to them, and we hope the team will be put in to do a forensic audit. Of course, they may do that. We shall also do our recommendation, what we need to be done on this matter. Thank you.
Honorable Nangoli?
Thank you, Chair. I've been in administration for some good time at my age. I worked somewhere for about 11 years. When I have the mandate to appoint an acting person in acting capacity, and at the same time I'm suspending the accounting officer, if I've not appointed the acting person to take charge, does not invalidate the suspension. Because remember, this happened yesterday. I don't know at what time the chairperson got the letter, or my chairperson here. Today it's a Friday, it's 21st. I know it is within still the mandate of the minister to appoint an acting person before close of business, because this organization has to run, it has to continue. Actually, I would think for your intelligence, chairperson, that you put the minister onto task to ensure that they expeditiously handle this, to bring the acting on board as soon as possible. That is my humble submission, Chair. Because as of now, we don't have. Thank you so much, Chair.
Also on the issue of the budget, was the budget provided for the increment? For the increment. And then the other one, which they need the AD also to clarify, both the ED and the chair, is the issue of the board members who went to, the 3 board members which are in these documents with the air tickets attached. If they are also here, they can answer for themselves, because the ED in his presentation yesterday said other people paid for their trouble, not the organization. And how were these appointed? Because this is the same company which also bidded.
Okay, so let's get quick responses to those.
Issue of the allowances of the board, the revision, the one I have, the current rates were accompanied by the certificate of financial implication from the Treasury. So that means that any further adjustments need to be done in the same manner, because implementing something outside what was cleared by the Treasury might be problematic. So the new rates, much as they have been approved by the Honorable Minister, they were not accompanied by a new certificate of financial implication from the Treasury, meaning that we had already budgeted based on the old rates. Then I think there was the issue of the members who traveled to Dubai, to one of the bidders. I did confirm that the institution only facilitated their 3 days per diem. We did not pay for the business class tickets and any other incidentals in Dubai. But also, as the Honorable Minister said, normally the ED writes requests for clearance of all travelers on behalf of the institution. So that in particular I did not as well do because I didn't know the purpose for the visit at that time. So there was no clearance, formal clearance by the minister for that travel.
So can I hear
Yes.
from those who traveled?
The chairman wanted to say something.
Chair and honorable members, I think let us stop this thing of fighting for no reason, because if you don't know the reason why people are traveling, you don't know the reason, then on what basis do you give them the per diem? This was a meeting held by the council to send 3 members of the board and 1 staff member to go and check out a business person who had approached us for what we accepted as a national interest matter. But we said, since this private business person is likely to come here is coming here to make his own money, we don't have a budget to go there, but we believe non-destructive testing, which is going to be a good area, especially with the oil business, is a very, very crucial matter. So that was the basis for which we were able, or the council or the bureau was able to give them the per diem. But we said, you, the business person, pay their tickets, pay their accommodation, but we shall pay. The per diem was paid because it was a matter of national importance. I wish we could stop these fights and start regrouping. Thank you.
Chair,
Yes, Honorable.
my concern is in regard to, because this company was one also ended up also bidding. So how can that company facilitate the council? If finally it also became one of the bidders, isn't there a conflict of interest?
Let us,
Yes, Board Chair.
Mr. Chairperson, let us separate things. That company participated in the bid for motor vehicles. It was knocked out on round 1. It did not go anywhere. They said these gentlemen, the gentleman and the lady, went for a totally separate business, which is what we call non-destructive testing. And I don't think that we needed to go through that in detail. They did not go for the motor vehicle business because UNBS sent its own staff to check the motor vehicle business, and the UNBS found them wanting on the motor vehicle, and it stopped there. They were knocked out in round 1. They are not even, there's even no appeal from them. So A company can do as many things as it wants. But it doesn't mean that if you don't win this business, you can't go for another one. I personally do many businesses, but I lose some, I win some. So I think, honestly, coming here, I thought we should start a process of healing and stop witch hunting, because we are all one family. This thing is not going to get us very far, I'm afraid.
Chair, I don't know whether I should not ask questions, because I'm entitled to ask any question. For the chairman say he cannot give more details and that we are witch hunting by asking questions which are pertinent to organization. Just like even this parliament, right, or Honorable Chair, you saw the communication from the speaker. You cannot even be facilitated by an entity or a ministry or UNBS if you decided to go and check the facilities of the. So, but can we have the report? We would be able to have the report, since he says can't give the details. Can we have the report of that, of what was done there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, Honorable Nangoli, you have read. Yeah, so let's get that report so that it clarifies things a lot easier. Okay, let's run to, yes, Honorable Nangoli.
Chair, before we go in the general report, on the bank statements that were provided to us from 3 banks. One is on, you marked it as Appendix 1. You can look for it so that we move together. 1, that bank statement from Standard Chartered Bank. The attachment, this one. I'm showing you. When you go on item 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, item 6, transfer to gain for field operations. The total figure is 346 million. That is an equivalent of about 200,000 US dollars. Then another one is transfer to gain for field operations, an equivalent also of 300 and what? $100,000. Of course, I'm adding the two. Then there's another one also of 346 million Uganda shillings. When you total that, those two, it comes to around 200,000 US dollars. I think at an exchange rate of 3,460 if you take that. One is that this money was not appropriated for, but it was spent at source, amounting to 692 million Uganda shillings. That is if we take an exchange rate of 3,460. Where was this money? Where did you get it from? Because it was not appropriated for, but it was spent at source. I would like to think for that. I'm still coming because I've analyzed all these bank statements. Take note of that, then you'll answer at once. Again, when you go to the second one, this one.
Okay.
Also, you paid on the 9th July 2021, reference number C0001171. You paid several staff claims, surveillance allowance activities worth 71 million. And it continues down actually, there are quite many. The entire sheet, second, third, totaling to about 1.3, according to my rough estimates here, about 1.3 billion. Up to the last sheet, this one. You have not numbered them, but at least I've been able to. When you total all those figures, it comes to around 1.3 billion. Was also spent at source. and yet it was not appropriated for. So would like to know, get an explanation on that before we move. Then you go to Annex 3. You have marked them, I believe you have the same.
I marked something.
This is actually Stanbic Bank. Stanbic Bank. Also, it is when you add up from 5th July 2021, when you add up the figures, it comes to about 926 million Uganda shillings. It was also spent at source, and yet it was not appropriated for. So would like you to put us on record so that we move in a strategic direction before we go into Auditor General's report. Thank you so much.
I wanted to suggest this because we, to a great extent, dealt with the issue of the money that was spent at source. The ED conceded to breaking the law. Honorable Nangoli, I'm just communicating this. He conceded to breaking the law. And our CID are also, in addition to other things, are investigating that particular matter. And then the rest we said we are going to capture as a committee and make our recommendations because he did not deny, which saved our time. He conceded, he broke the law because he did not get the approval of anybody. He wrote to finance asking for a supplementary of 27 billion, remember. Finance did not get back to him. So he decided to himself, when he was, this money from the people collections, the Stanbic Lugogo account, the gain account, money that he was meant to send to the consolidated fund, he sent part of it and retained part, which he spent at source. And he conceded to breaking the law because that's an illegality according to the Public Finance Management Act. And the second issue was, again, to do with the Stanbic account. I'm hoping that's the correct one.
Yes.
Where the Accountant General made it very clear that this is an account for security. Okay? These people, traders and so on, they deposit money as security, which must be refunded to them. And the Accountant General made it explicitly clear. You can only keep that account as long as you don't touch that money. But the ED touched that money to the tune of 333 million, which he conceded to because it's an illegality. So I think now what would be left is the investigations happening by CID and then us making recommendations. That's what I'm thinking, so that we move to the other issues. Yes, Honorable Kumar. In exactness, because first issue, the implementation of the approved budget, and then 1.1 is about Government of Uganda receipts. I think that's clear because their budget was 6.5, they got 64. The budget was 65.04, they got 64.08, about 1 billion less. And the issue there is just to follow up with the Ministry of Finance to always ensure that all that is budgeted for is availed. But of critical importance is 1.2, appropriateness of key performance indicators. And the performance indicators were reviewed, and it was discovered that in some cases, let me just read the whole of it. It was observed that the indicators used to measure performance for some activities would not provide the most appropriate measure of performance. In some cases, the indicators were generic and not specific to the activity, while in other cases, management did not provide indicators. Yeah, so the issue here is of the money that you received, 64.08 billion, it could not be properly accounted for in the sense of the key performance indicators, what was spent, where, what did what, and in some cases there were no indicators. So if there's no indicator, that means it's difficult to properly account for this money. Talk to us about that.
Observation made us to immediately review the indicators in the subsequent period. So we believe that we can now be able to actually match the performance indicators to the outputs. So this was implemented immediately. This observation was done. So we believe that the subsequent reporting will confirm that.
Okay, yeah, so it's good that you took remedial action going forward.
Yes, sir.
But now the current one, how do we deal with it? Because again, I want to tie that into with 1.3, implementation of outputs and activities. Because if the indicators are not clear, then there will be an issue with the outputs.
Yeah.
And that's why, by the way, all of this is part of number one, issue number one, yeah? So here, 2 outputs with 7 activities and expenditures worth 7.75 billion. These were fully implemented. 4 outputs with 21 activities worth 7.05 were partially implemented. Out of these, okay, this is to do with those that were not implemented, and you can talk to us about that. But now, for these indicators, does it not mean, in ordinary speak, that this was not properly accounted for? So yes, going forward, you have clarified the indicators, yeah? What was the reason for not having them sorted out earlier on, so that this money, the entire 6.64 billion, is properly accounted for?
Chair, we have been learning on the program-based budgeting system. It's actually a system for budgeting where you populate those measures and indicators. So as a result of this feedback, we have been also accordingly requesting it for further review with the Treasury. So it was really an observation that was meant to make us improve going forward. And all these observations were really done that the PBS system was not aligned to make sure that these things flow well, but we've done that going forward. The corporate planner is with me here. I will also be able to make a statement if allowed.
Yeah, sure, let him do. There was a delay to implement these, and these are very critical, yeah? There was a contract between UNBS and URA, and the vendor. You executed a framework contract for the supply, implementation, training, commissioning, support, and maintenance of a DTS solution dated 4th October 2018 for 5 years, effective from the go-live date. So all of this background work was done, but then you did not get to implement these digital conformity stamps. What happened?
Chair, this digital conformity stamp concept came on the revenue side of Uganda Revenue Authority. It was meant initially for tax collection, but then later on it was said that since URA collects tax on products, commodities locally made, it's very important that the issue of quality also is is embedded. Unfortunately, at the inception by URA, our law, the UNBS certification, imports and enforcement regulation was not aligned to that concept of per unit. For us, we would give you annual permit, then you produce as many as commodities you want for that annual year. And yet this concept now need that every piece, for example, of bottle you produce, you target, and that means you certify per piece. So there was then need to review the regulations to match with that change of concept. And then the issue of technology came because this will be administered through ICT, the trace and track technology, which had to be put in place and integrated among URA, UNBS, and SIGPA. So it took us a bit of time. Then there was actually issue of cost. The initial proposal was about 49 shillings per sticker. Then we said that this might be problematic for our small micro enterprises. Can we bring it down? So we managed to bring it to 21 shillings per sticker. And that's where we are now. So the pilot phase was triggered on 10th July, which we call Go Live. And we believe that we are now ready to implement that DTS for the commodity that has been identified to start with.
So when you say you're ready, how ready? Because here the issue was that the delay was occasioned by the need to review some of the provisions in the contract.
Yes, the pricing. Then the regulations came in, then the technology. So all those three had to be reviewed and harmonized.
Because the delay caused two issues.
Yeah.
One, loss of revenue. Two, conformity issues. We are not able to ascertain that there's conformity to quality standards.
Chair, actually, no revenue was lost because, as you will be seeing, there is a contingent revenue from the DTS that when you go live, then you will be entitled to earn it. But on conformity, we want to clarify that these stickers will only help you to authenticate whether the product is certified. But indeed, it is certification first, and then you apply the sticker. So conformity is already going on because UNBS makes sure these commodities are certified so long as they are locally produced, so they are safe. The issue is how does somebody be sure with the forgeries? So that's where the technology is coming now to avoid forgeries.
And that's the point I was making, because you see, just because the commodity has a certification, it's not been authenticated because of this that is absent.
Yeah.
So it could have been a forged certification.
Yeah.
For example, we were not able to tell. So that's what I'm talking about as loss of revenue, because you don't know that everything that has a certification properly went through the system, or that this certification is not fake. Because if it is fake, it means we have lost revenue. Number two, that product might not conform
to the standard.
And so it is harmful to the consumer. That's the challenge. That's why this delay becomes a problem.
Absolutely.
So when had you people planned to get ready with this, to move?
I will
because the service provider is ready, apparently, according to them. That's what we understand.
Well, what we know is that all of us got ready, but let Patricia, who is coordinating the program, add a statement, because I had assigned her to specifically follow on this.
Chair, before Patricia comes in, when we passed the law regarding the tax digital stamps, it was through an amendment. It was through an amendment of the tax bills.
Please carry on, Honorable. Okay, give me a second.
We introduced the tax digital stamps. It was through an amendment of the tax bills. I remember there was a protracted war, resistance from industries, the breweries, the soft drinks, but finally we passed. Unfortunately, I think we did not incorporate the issue of the standards in that bill. So I'm just wondering now, because it should have also been captured in the bill and finally definitely law. Because now under what law would they be implementing? Because the other one had to come through a law. It would have needed an amendment to the law that we passed. Because for UNBS, they also need to explain to me what's the difference between your Q sign here, which we take it as the one which shows standardization. Because yours now is about standardization. The other one of the URA is for tax purposes. It's for tax purposes, such that the excess duty, these factories here do not produce and bypass and not pay taxes. But for them, they have already had their standard here. So I just want to know how the two would be different, because you already have the Q sign here. But it should have also been, if we needed it, it should have also been incorporated, should have been through an amendment of that law where we brought the tax, the DTS. So I just want that clarified first, because that's how we'll be looking at it. Maybe Patricia can now pick from there.
Yes, go for it.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair and members. Yes, just to follow through from that, the legal implementation was a challenge because, as you've rightly put, DTS was for taxes. Now, UNBS at the same time had wanted to do our Q mark with a digital component, our Q mark which is already covered in our Act and regulations. So part of that delay was for us to now bring in this new technology into how we issue certification, because we could not charge just for a stamp, we charge for certification. So the stamp was the end of the certification process. And that's how we brought it in. When you're paying for digital conformity marking, which for us we use, we don't use DTS. You are paying for certification, which ends with a digital stamp. So that's the legal requirement, the amendment that we had to go through. Our certification regulations were repealed rather. We had to amend that. and it went through the process before we could start. So we were basing it on the laws that exist already.
So you are doing the regulations, not the act. You are
No,
amending
it was
your-
the regulation,
it is
yes,
the
because we
regulation.
already had a
So-
certification regulation.
So what I get from Patricia is that they want to digitalize the Q stamp, not just the way it's put here, and let it be like what we have. With the this Rwenzori water, it's not like the other one where you have this one. You have the mark is here. It's digitalized. You see the figure here.
Chair,
Thank you. Then
just a supplementary.
Not the law. It's fine.
Chair, a supplementary question to my brother here, the senior. If I recall, early this year around Feb, just related to the same, there was something moving on social media. It was even in papers where someone bought, it was, I think, cooking oil, well packed in a liter, 2 liters, in a cavera. But then along the way, and it had clearance from UNBS, it had even it had even a stamp. It was 14 vote or something like that, you may recall also. At the bottom, it was cooking oil. But on top, it was water. How do you explain this to Ugandans? Is it a problem with UNBS or the manufacturers? Or it was not, or it was a false story? Because to move on social media actually everywhere, I also saw it, and I believe my colleagues here also saw it. How do you
Video, without initially bringing it to the attention of UNBS, when now they asked her to take the owner of the brand, the commodity where I bought from, she took off and came to seek for protection from UNBS. And we are saying that, but now you are going backwards. You should report such a thing. Can you take me where you got it? Then you again run. So there are a lot of business wars that are being used to decampaign others, and for it is really legitimate or it is just malice. So in that particular case, really, the owner of the brand came out to be part of the solution, unfortunately.
So yes, this could have happened the way it did, but many times people do complain, and we have kind of touched this along the way, but there's still a general outcry. Many commodities out there are substandard, they are fake, they do not meet the requisite standard. And that's for people who will try and do a bit more research. The average person doesn't. They'll go and purchase whatever they purchase, whether it be cosmetics, whether it be I don't know what commodities, they go and use these things, and they harm them unknowingly. You people are the gatekeepers. What assurance do we have from you that as gatekeepers you will play your part? Because the consumers are not experts. As long as there's some kind of mark, or at least this commodity is on the market, it's not been gotten out of circulation, it is good for consumption, and yet not.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Our efforts to deal with that are very much part of what we are discussing here is to be able to trace that mark. The issue is that we really need support in terms of regulation. There is a mindset that does not appreciate regulation, and when we go out to do the work, it looks like we are disturbing business. The truth is, the Uganda standards are the minimum standard. You should not go below that. We are not setting standards that people can't reach. This is the minimum. So we have to put in a lot of effort in stakeholder engagement for people to learn. We have to work together with the private sector, but we have to accept that regulation is real. When we go out there to remove products that don't have the mark, we don't question, we just remove them because they should not have been there without the mark. So it's something we have to continuously keep doing to improve the quality of standards.
Honorable Itungo and Honorable Muzale, then I'll pass.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, when you look at the Auditor General's report, the mandate of UNBS, among other things, is to protect, formulate, and enforce national standards in order to enhance the competitiveness of Ugandan products, promote fair trade, and the rest one, protect consumers. And I'm interested in protecting consumers, Mr. Chairman. Chair, I have 2 samples of mineral water here. One is Rwenzori here. when you see the mark of UNBS, it is printed on the wrapper of Rwenzori. Unzima has something yellow here on top. And I was asking my neighbor here. My neighbor is telling me this sticker is for URA. Where is the sticker for UNBS now on this?
It's yellow, it's here.
Now, when you check on the wrapper, which this wrapper can be made from NASA Road or anywhere, this thing is just on a wrapper. Now, when you remove this wrapper, this thing has no anything to indicate that the consumers are protected. And Mr. Chairman and colleagues, there has been concern about these energy drinks, the kombuchas, Mukamanayamba.
Is that a drink also?
So what is in these Mukamanayambas? How do we know that these energy drinks are safe for people's consumption? I remember there was a type of alcohol. It was in a vernacular word, mjakure. People would take it and become blind. You remember those incidences. So my concern to you is, how do you protect these consumers? Apart from putting your tag on the wrapper, what is so special that when I come to pick a product, I will see this product is certified by UNBS, like the URA has done on this water. So I want to know what you are doing, because when you say that products which are substandard and they're in the market, we shall just go and confiscate them from the market. You may find these products are distributed all over, and you have only pulled the ones in Kampala where you can reach, but the rest people are consuming poison. So I'm concerned how you are protecting these consumers.
Honorable Mzale.
Just to add on what my colleague has just said, you'll find these stickers of UNBS. But what is actually happening today is that either they gave these stickers to those people a long time ago, and there is no spontaneous or routine checks being carried out. Now, there is Rwenzori, a factory that is producing this water, and there is also someone who has also mastered the art of going to NASA, prints out this sticker the way it is, blends it, and puts it on market. Now, to our staff here, for them, they think, Rwenzori water is okay because we tested it and it is okay. But I would implore them to always do spontaneous checks. That's the only way we can mitigate these kind of fake goods on market. Mr. Chairman, I want to tell you that in my area, we are sugarcane growers. And there are so many weighing scales in our areas. They have put small weighing scales. But if you take a truck to one weighing scale and leaves that place and go to another one, the measurements are different. We've made noise about this, but there is nothing that has been done. I can attest and tell you that I don't know whether it would be proper to mention the names of some of these factories, but you go to Kamuli, because we have about 4 of them. Just use one truck, assume you are a seller, use one truck, go on one scale, assume you've disagreed with them, move to another one, you'll see the differences we are talking about. It normally cheats around 2 to 3 tons on every truck. This is what is happening. So, even these imported products, the same thing that is happening. You go to Chikubo, try like as if you're buying a product. Go and test it before even you tell them. You'll see what is happening. Because we are buying so many fake products on the market. Reason, either it's because the ED say that it does not have enough money to do some of these routine checks. I don't know, that's what we should take. But I want to assume that you have the capacity to have these spontaneous checks. I thank you, Chair.
Okay, Honorable again.
I thought Patricia would bring this out. The issue of fake, counterfeit, substandard things is real in this country. UNBS, I don't know today whether they are in every entry point to this country. Whether they are in every entry point to this country. Where we have porous borders, and having worked in those anti-smuggling things, there are so many goods that get smuggled here. I thought UNBS would be thinking of getting more staff, more trained staff at almost every point. Even for enforcement, for surveillance, you need to be there. But the way I see the numbers in the UNBS, they are not in every entry point. They are not in every factory. They are not able to do that. They cannot be in every, even just doing Kampala alone, Chikubo here, just like tax collection. There are still people who evade the taxes despite the numbers, so they keep increasing the staff. I thought that would come in, because to me, that's where the problem is. Once you are not have enough human resource, you enough equipment for the surveillance, enough enforcement officers, then these things will be able to continue. But with the limited, we should be able to see you bite and act. Just look at, I'm just looking at the example of, look at colleagues, just this bread we buy in the shops. I don't know whether you have taken note, because they're also supposed to note that they are standard weight of that bread. But you check, just go and buy bread, different types, and see whether they're of the same weight. But you'll find they are not of the same weight, but they're of the same price, or even higher price. They're even supposed to do that, chase the bread. So it's a bigger problem that I thought would come out from them, from the board chair, from the management, that we need this. Okay. I don't know whether they have ever presented what they would need to really achieve the bare minimum to the Minister of Finance, to the Ministry, that if we are to achieve this, that's what we need. I don't know whether they have ever done that, and if you have ever done, what was the response?
Okay, maybe with just a second. With number 4, because it's related, which talks about inadequate surveillance at border posts. It was noted that the Bureau had staff presence at only 27 out of the 170 border entry points. This is not even half. It's not even a quarter. I doubt it is even an eighth, maybe thereabout. Okay? Because out of 170 border entry points, UNBS has presence at only 27. No wonder, the market is full of fake commodities. Because like you said, sometimes you go out, you're trying to withdraw these fake commodities, you're fighting with traders and that kind of thing. And yet if you dealt with the problem at source, and by source I mean at the border entry points, you would not be hustling with running around with police officers, go to people's shops, speak this and that kind of thing. We would have less of that. So let's combine it, and you explain to us what the issue is. Because you cannot be Uganda National Bureau of Standards. Keyword there is Uganda. That means the whole country. Not Kampala, not Kampala Bureau of Standards. Uganda National Bureau of Standards. But your presence is only at 27 border entry points out of 170 border entry points. Surely, this is a crisis.
That is to do the borders. Now go to the factories. How many factories do we have here?
There you are. Okay, let me pick a few other people.
Thank you. So much, I'm sorry that I came late because of the circumstances I could not avoid. So on the same note, I also want to comment that it is really very wanting when Uganda National Bureau of Standards has only few locations within the borders. And I'm also wondering what could be the issue. Is it the financial aspects of that? Or you have the money, but you're not able to do the recruitments, the human resource who are supposed to be legally recruited and positioned in those borders? Because the porous borders, of course, allow the access of some of those goods to penetrate the country when it is not known. So I think it would be very useful for you to explain to us what is the issues, what are the challenges, what could be your needs, and how best do you think the committee can help you in regard to that? I thank you.
Honorable Abdallah.
Chair and honorable members, I must apologize for coming in late, Honorable Chair. Chair, with due respect to you and honorable members, I don't know whether some issues which we had postponed to today to do with the Chiwamka John have been handled.
No,
And
we
if not
were
yet
actually
handled-
waiting for you. Since you raised that particular matter, let's first deal with this. We'll get back to that.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Chair, I'm on the issue of the substandard goods. I want the board and management to tell us how many times, when did they last carry out the destruction? And they are telling us that when you look at the report, that the store is full for quite some time. How has been the destruction been carried out? You impound goods, you put them in the stores, and the next day it is emptied. What happens? Where do they go? And there is no destruction which goes on. A case in point can go on to the iron bars and other goods which don't fit. On several occasions you have been cited impounding. You reach in the store right now, they are not there. They have not been destroyed. What happens? Where are they? Can you give us an explanation to that effect?
Okay,
Chair, as a policy, we normally do introductions, and members who come late, they always introduce themselves. But to my dismay, Chair, there's a gentleman seated directly behind the ED. I saw him yesterday, and I've also seen him today. The only thing is that he comes a little bit late, and today he came late, he did not introduce himself. I don't know, is he...
But they are thinking, this gentleman, is he a member of staff of UNBS? Is he who?
I was getting worried, Chair,
Okay.
now that it has been clarified. Chair, I would like to say something about substandard goods. Yesterday, if I recall very well, there's a statement I mentioned, and people thought maybe... You know, Chair, UNBS is a very, very sensitive organization, and the word Uganda National Standards Bureau, it's an important thing to us. But you know, it is really saddening to hear that UNBS recklessly allows substandard products on the market. It is on record, it's not for the first time. And my great concern here, that's why yesterday I said that CMI, because we have been warned severally by police, by security agencies, that terrorism is not all about human beings. But you know, sometimes people can even use the products, especially if you're having illicit products on the market. They are entering through porous borders that you don't understand, and you find these things on the market. They can be a form of what? Terrorism kind of activities that you may find. That's why yesterday, Chair, I stated that it is my humble submission and proposal that security agencies get concerned and involved in investigating these people further, not necessarily about causing financial loss, but also recklessly allowing products that are substandard on the market. Why? What is the motive? Chair, I did not say that they are terrorists, but we need to combine CMI and the counterterrorism department, police, UPDF, to investigate these people further. What is the motive behind of allowing some of these illicit products on the market?
Mr.
Thank you,
Chairman,
Chair.
Mr. Chairman, No. Now this is a different one. Mr. Chairman, if you look at cement today, if you mix a bag of cement today and perhaps worked on a particular section of a building, and you compare that cement with cement of 5 years ago, a building that was built 5 years ago, the one that you've just used today will be much weaker compared to the one that was used 5 years ago. Mr. Chairman, there are very few factories that are producing cement in this country. I do not know what could be the problem, whether these people can tell us why. Because for us, the way the local way of testing cement, use the knife, and if you go to the building that was built 5 years ago, 10 years ago, the nail will not enter. These ones of today, and it goes straight. You even wonder. When you are hitting it with a hammer, of course. Even when also you go to the iron bars, it is also the same. Mr. Chairman, these are known factories in the country. And what my brother Honorable has just talked about, the issue of confiscating these products from the shops, is not proper because these people are innocent. I'm a shop dealer. I bought these iron bars from open market, brought it in my shop, and then you come, UNBS, you confiscate my product. Is it proper? I'm very innocent. It is your problem because you've not been able to monitor this at source. Mr. Chairman, lastly, the issue of porous borders. We have UNRWA, which has almost tried to cover most of these borders. If UNBS could work in tandem, UNBS can work with URA, sorry, you can save some kind of gaps because you just deal with them, work with them, ask them to help you. When they are clearing these products, they should clear a product that has been verified by you people. It is as simple as that. It will save. I thank you.
Concern we have over substandard commodities. Sometimes you see buildings crumbling down, and it's because the metallic bars that were used are substandard. Why? Either UNBS did not do a good job to verify, do they conform, and so on. People have complained about cosmetics and several other products that are of substandard. Others are fake, they're counterfeit. What is UNBS doing about that? Tether that in with the question about you having presence at only 27 out of the 170 border entry points, which is a real crisis. And Honorable Abdallah also asked about, I believe it was him, who asked about, yes, destroying of substandard commodities, that's point 5. Let's get a response to this too. Because you see, the issue is for those which you withdraw from the market out there because they're substandard, you keep them somewhere and you're saying you do not have what it takes to destroy them. That would mean they can very easily find themselves back on the market. That somebody will deal with your juniors and say, please, let me secure my products again. And they get back on the market. And yet, we would think, as soon as you arrest these products, you're meant to destroy, so that there's no chance that they'll find themselves in the market again. So, Edie, respond to that, and maybe Madam Patricia, who is in charge of...
Thank you very much, Chairman. I'm happy that this debate can tie in very well from where we started from the last 3 days. One of the biggest challenges which the Bureau has been battling over time is the numbers, staff numbers, but also how the budget can be protected. The budget is, we get the budget numbers, but do they translate to releases? So how do we protect the Bureau's budget so that we have money all the time to undertake enforcement activities? So currently we are about to 500 staff. This has come slowly with support of Parliament. Again, like alluded to yesterday or so, that we are happy that we were given exception with another 2 billion for recruitment this financial year. So the objective is actually to see how UNBS can, as much as possible, cover ground, especially in some of these critical entry points. I'm also happy to note that over the last 1 year, we have been able to decentralize UNBS services to the regions. Gulu, now we have laboratory certification and market surveillance operations, which used to be manned from Kampala. We have also been able to set laboratories, certification services, and market surveillance operations in Mbale. So we have also made the Eastern region independent of Kampala. And then not long ago, a month or two, we were opened also Mbarara regional laboratories, which is now fully fledged to undertake that. So that is meant to make sure that our presence nationally is enhanced, so that again we represent the outlook of a national entity. So we believe that this is one of the interventions to address the substandard products, especially locally produced by our micro small enterprises. Then we focus on the entry points which are porous for the imports commodities. Honorable Chair, over that audit period, we have actually only added 1, so we are now having 28 physical presence. You can imagine that speed.
Wow.
But that said,
you seem to want us to congratulate you that you have added 1 more, so you are at 28 out of 170.
Chairman, then we
that is not a bad performance.
Given
it's an extremely poor performance.
Given the circumstances, Chair. But that said, we have over the recent years automated. We are leveraging on ICT, and we are able to man another 89 entry points, which we call remote manning, that we can be able to know what transaction takes place there and make sure that that commodity is not released without our intervention.
How?
We are working now closely with the URA. I wanted to confirm that we have a memorandum with Uganda Revenue Authority that all goods imported into this country where UNBS has interest must not be released even if they are paid taxes. We call it tagging. They must be tagged for UNBS inspection or confirmation that they have undergone quality assurance, either from the country of origin or they need to be inspected here before it's released. So we make sure that Ascuda World, which is the platform for custom clearance, is linked to the UNBS e-portal, which we are talking about, which we have been improving its integrity over time.
I was actually going to say, sorry to jump in, even that Ascuda, there's been complaints about it. Now you're saying you're trying to improve it. So you can't rely on it 100% as we speak today.
We are improving on our side because Ascuda is the platform for all imports clearance. So in other words, we link into the Ascuda and make sure that we don't allow anything which is meant to be checked by us to actually go without. And we have been working closely with the URA to that effect. So that is the effort we are doing. More numbers are required to be able to make sure that we actually in every entry point which we are required to be, including the internal customs depot in the country. The substandard products on the market today, Chair, I want to confirm that our headache now is the locally manufactured product by micro small enterprises. We have been encouraging our people to innovate, and the Paris development model is going to make it better because everybody now will be going to value addition. So our question is, how do we support UNBS to be prepared to manage that value addition, which is going to take place countrywide? One of them is to beef up the regional offices. Yes, we have decentralized, but the numbers are required to fully beef up there and make it impactful. So, Honorable Chair, that's why we believe that although there are many issues, as you have alluded, at least try to pick some key ones towards supporting the Bureau in terms of staffing and protecting its budget, so that spending at source really will not arise. As I had alluded to you, that given that huge mandate of the Bureau and that a budget has been reduced by over 20 billion, and yet you are expected to undertake business as usual, you can imagine as a chief executive like myself what I will explain to these Ugandans about the products on the market, about the exports to foreign countries, and the safety of our people. So that one we have already debated, and as I've told you that I felt I took a very hard decision as although with implications, but I think now when we're debating, you can see the environment we are operating in, that we lost people who drank a product which was not checked with UNBS, by UNBS in Arua. But we thank God that that was one of the incidents, indicating that UNBS is actually protecting many more from that incident. So the challenge now is that the majority of our micro, small enterprise do not produce from formal facilities. They are either in the backyards of their homes, which are gated. They are either in go down somewhere in town where it's very easy to reach, and they are not registered anywhere. So when you get their commodity on the market, the minimum you can do is try to trace back, because one of the standards is that you indicate your physical address of production. So that's why, Honorable, when we come to you, although you have not produced and we have gotten a suspect product, we ask you kindly to help us where you got it from. And if you can't, then we confirm that it could be from you. So the first issue is help us to find out where did you buy this from, because we know that these guys are producing from unknown places. So by the time it reaches you, that means you know that go down, you know that backyard. So that's what help we can tell you. And then if you cannot help us, then we can put the blame on you. So we encourage people who buy commodities from these manufacturers to keep your documents, especially invoices and receipts, as evidence. When UNBS comes, we trace back to the what? To the source.
And where the consumer doesn't have capacity to tell that this is fake or not, because the colleague here might have scrutinized and is able to tell. But not every consumer, the average consumer is not like that. They're not able to tell this particular certification is supposed to look this way and so on. They just consume. It is in a shop they buy. That's where you come in. So you cannot say if we can't help you, you can't help us.
I agree with you, Chair. Our focus is actually that person. The person who, first of all, can't read the labels or doesn't appreciate what a Q mark is. So that's why we have said that the major retail outlets in this country, supermarkets, major shops, should not allow a commodity which is not certified by UNBS. We are trying to do that as a minimum. Then we are now bringing the technology we have been talking about, the trace and track technology, that let the consumer be empowered to check through a scanning with the phone to confirm whether this is actually authentic. But most importantly, it's awareness, really, publicity. How do we engage the public to be self-regulating? You must demand for a quality product, a safe product, and if you are in suspicion, please report to UNBS. So this is a collective effort, Chair, that we need everybody to involve. But I need to respond to Honorable Abdallah. He seemed to have insinuated that we are impounding goods for camera, that, you know, it comes to the store, when cameras go, then we do other things.
Because one of the queries is, you're not destroying these commodities. And you're saying you don't have money, and yet you're retaining money at source and so on.
I want to invite honorable members to see our stores. Actually, our stores are very full. It is one of the high costs we are incurring for storage of impounded and unburdened products. But we do dispose. Honorable Chair, one of the other account you heard about the bonds is for those people whose products fail. We use that money to dispose. So the problem is the timing, because majority of these we pick from market surveillance. When we go to the market, you get them, and those ones fill the stores very fast. What we also do, because the law allows us to to consider products that can be reworked. If you can rework a commodity and make it meet the standard, we have that provision, but there are those you cannot, especially the foods. Once it's bad, we have to dispose. But there are other industrial products, if possible, we can tell you to make good. And Honorable Abdallah is aware that he was among my stakeholders when I undertook a massive operation within the Kampala Metropolitan for steel products, iron bars. So as a matter of consensus, we agreed that those which were not conforming goes back for reprocessing and our supervision. So those can be done. Otherwise, those that cannot be done, we indeed dispose, and we use NEC, Nakasongola, with the NEMA to dispose those. So we indeed dispose them. We cannot be accomplice to seizing substandard products and releasing them back. We don't do that, Chair. Cement. The problem of cement, Chair, is in the value chain. we have ascertained that when we go and assess the factories, they have robust systems, but then the value chain, beginning from the drivers that load these commodities across from the factory to their distribution outlets. That's where the problem is. We have held the companies to explain, why do you give extra bags on every load of trucks? You know, it's like empty bags. What is the intention? Although they explain that, you know, in transit, some of these bags get torn and you may need to, but we realize that it's actually encourages people to rebag, either cut off the weight or add something else on the cement. That makes problems of curing on time. So, but we have addressed that with a few manufacturers to address the value chain, but also come up with intervention where we can have robust selling of these commodities from the factory through to the retail outlets. We believe it is a work in progress based on joint effort by the manufacturers. We are now doing quarterly sampling and testing of iron bars from our major producers of iron steel. So every 3 months we go to the factories, draw sample tests, we call them and share results. So we believe that as numbers increase, we should be able to attach our staff to key sectors for purposes of quality monitoring.
I saw the board chairman's hand up. Let me first hear from him, then I'll come.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chair. Now, this thing of UNBS is actually a very complicated matter. And it is not a matter that my brother David can handle or any other person, whether David is in office or another one, because I've been associated with NEC or Ruwero Industries where the destruction gets done. When a lot of goods leave UNBS going for destruction, they actually don't get there. Ruwero Industries destroys very little of the goods that have been destined for destruction. A lot of them get on the way and they come back to town.
Where do they go exactly? They go back to the market, to the individuals from whom they were gotten?
The UNBS has no capacity to escort all of these things to go and witness destruction. So you get waste managers, they take the things purportedly for destruction, but they don't get there. They come back to town. That's the one problem. Another problem is, as you have seen, we have got 170, let's say 180 points. And we have a physical presence at just 28, let's say, even if we say the 30. So we have got 150 points of entry in this country that we have no control over, or very little control. Now, when I talked to the Minister of Finance and I told him, but we are not doing much because you can't cut from 65 billion to 45 billion. He said, you got how much? I said, 45 billion. He said, don't tell other people. Meaning that we did extremely well with the 45 billion. And they said, why don't you use the computers? But also, if you look at the UNBS, because we are talking about a process of healing, we've gone through the last 3 really horrible days, and David and I never anticipated this, but the truth of the matter is, even if we got more people, unless we face the problem at UNBS, UNBS inspectors are thieves. I have got to say this, otherwise we will have achieved nothing. You know, I will need the ED to help even when he's on leave or whatever. Let us work for this country. Guys take money every day. These things, they come here, even if we have a physical presence. I told the ED, you can't put everything in writing, but I told him, somebody that I know very, very well came to me and said, help me. There's a car I brought in, and now the guys are asking me for this type of money. I said, I can't help with a smaller car. I mean, really, I'm a chairperson. So a few days later, he comes to me laughing. I said, your boys sorted me out. I have my car. And I told the aide, I said, I don't know what we're going to do, because he says, can you tell me the name, and then we get the guys. But now, this guy imports the cars regularly. If I dob him in, next time he will face the wrath of these guys. But we have got a cultural problem. It is not simply unmanned places. It's simply that Ugandans have this tendency that you stealing from the employer is a legitimate exercise. So I would know, that's why I've not even been bothered whether we should get more money for more people, because more money is stolen from within than what we are preventing. So if 5 people can cause a financial loss of 10 billion, which government is going to give you money for 10 billion for 5 people? So we really have a very, very big problem. And finally, on this one, my view is this. Ugandans tend to trust the foreigners more than they trust themselves. So, again, speaking to the ED, I said, we have got these pivot companies that are giving us a headache over here. So, we trust the foreigners. All those pivot companies, there's not a single Ugandan company. They earn a lot of money from our country, purportedly to protect us, because UNBS has no capacity to deploy everywhere and around the globe. Why can't we have a similar program, a pivot type of thing? And we say, instead of continuing to chase around our inspectors, we go to maybe to Parliament and say, let us create a local pivot infrastructure. And we get some companies, maybe we give them regions or bonds or whatever, and say, this is your local contract for goods that come in. You employ your people the same way these foreigners are employing their people. You will give to UNBS this type of money, almost the same. We can even work out exactly the same amount. But we get this headache off our head. Because UNBS ought to have about the same staff as URA. URA, as I understand it, has about 4,000. We do the same work with 500 people, 1 to 8. It is not possible. You can dismiss a bureau, you create whatever comes in, the problem will remain. Okay, he may not face the same challenges he has faced, but there are fundamental issues that are not solvable overnight. Thank you, Chairman.
Yes, Honorable